All right, welcome everybody to the Tools for the Modern Man podcast. I'm your host, Pete Beskis, and today I've got a guest with me who's really, I think, is going to be a great conversation. This is part of my series for people who are looking for, to either up-level their career, get a new job. Last week we talked about resumes. This week we're really going to be diving into more of the social aspect, the networking, the growing your base, the really leveraging your strengths side of things. And so I'm really happy to have on board this week Cindy Arcuri, who has over 25 years experience in HR working with Fortune 500 companies. She really knows what people are looking for. She really knows how to get people in positions where they're going to be successful and financially free quicker in life. She has her own company called Enjoy Working Coaching, and I'm just really happy to have you on board today.
Thanks, Pete. Great to be with you.
So why don't you tell everybody just a little bit about you, your history, why you're doing what you're doing, and why is your passion involved in this area of, I guess, our careers?
Thanks, Pete. Well, I've led HR in Fortune 500 companies for over 25 plus years. So I've seen the impact of when people don't enjoy their work or when they're needing a new challenge and it's not fulfilled where they currently are. And I've been on the other side where I had to lay people off. And so you saw the emotional toil each of those three situations provided. So I'm passionate about people finding work they enjoy. I think if you enjoy your work and you get on that path to financial freedom sooner, your whole world opens up. Every other aspect of your life improves. Just like when you're not enjoying it or you're out of work, all that stress can impact every area of your life, personal relationships, our community involvement, everything. So work impacts your home life and home life impacts work. And so I'm passionate now that have my own business, helping people get on the right path for them.
And I think this is a topic that the reason I started this series, the reason I started having these conversations with experts such as yourself and everyone else is to really, there is this huge upheaval right now in industry, a lot of layoffs, a lot of people, afraid to shift jobs because of the uncertainty and things of that nature. What, from your experience, what do you see as like maybe the one or two or three top mistakes people make because of being motivated or driven by fear or uncertainty in their careers?
Yeah. So listen, there are good times to move and bad times to move. So you do need to be conscious of what's going on externally, but you do not want to let that hold you back from looking for work sooner than later. I think the biggest mistake I've seen people make, Pete, is they actually stay too long in a role they don't enjoy. And so they end up not performing as well as they've typically performed in the past. Okay. Because they're unhappy. And then, or a layoff is coming and they may be sort of sensing it, but they're not really putting their feelers out or networking soon enough to kind of see what is out there. Or they're not even exploring, like maybe tech right now is going through a downsizing, but manufacturing is exploding.
See, and I think that's a really great point that you make there. I know in my years in corporate, I seem to always switch every few years because I was chasing a different motivation than just the paycheck. But when the paycheck becomes the all-focus, all-consuming mission, it can get very challenging, especially for people who, like I think in this environment, may have stayed on a job for a little too long without establishing their network around them to get to the next opportunity.
Yeah, and a lot of people aren't clear on what they need to feel connected at work. So I spend a lot of time in my career coaching actually putting them through my proprietary assessment tool called the connection model. And you need to be clear on what you need because what you need may be different than someone else. And so they're searching for things that they're not even clear on what they need to feel that connection at work. So it's really,
if I can just interrupt there because it brings up a question or an answer I hear all the time. Well, when you ask somebody what do they need, Well, I need a job, Cindy. How do you
Yeah.
answer that question?
Yeah. Well, absolutely. That's the goal, right? We want to get you in a role you enjoy. But remember, you don't want just a job. You want a job that you can go to, that you can feel good about, feel your authentic self. So there's really 6 elements. I call them 6 C's of connection that you want to be looking at. Okay.
Hmm.
And then prioritizing for you. Things like how much challenge do you need? There's good times to have a lot of challenge. When you're new in your career and you don't have a family, you have a lot of hours that you can you're growing and you can invest if you choose. Then life gets busy. You have your young kids, you need to be home to bathe
I
them,
I know all about that. I know.
right? Right? So challenge will fluctuate depending on what else is going on. Your compensation needs will fluctuate. I used to always laugh as the HR director, right, Pete? I always loved the young men. They would come in and see me. And I know your podcast is dedicated to men, which I just love because I think they need it. And they'll come in when they're expecting their first child and say, I need to make more money. All of a sudden compensation needs increase for them
Yeah.
as the dad, and so we get it. We understand those life events. This is a more structured approach that helps you to really think it through. And then you're able to go after the roles that are right for you at this moment in time,
Hmm.
that you can really have life work success in.
Yeah.
Okay.
And one of the reasons why I brought you on, because last time we talked together, it were really, we were talking about one aspect, but I noticed that you had a ton of insights in the networking side of things and how
Yeah.
people use their network, their friends, their colleagues, the people they went to school with. And one thing I've noticed time and time again is that people will get into a role and then they go quiet and their network becomes like kind of cold on them and it's crickets, and then somebody will get laid off, and oh lo and behold, you start calling everybody and saying, hey, I got laid off, did you hear of anything? Like, what's kind of like your approach or advice to people who are, let's talk with the first tranche, the ones who have kind of let their network go cold, and then maybe dive into the people who are pretty good but could do better.
Sure. Well, listen, networking is gold. And I say that all the time. It's your hidden gold. So you want to keep your network really, really in almost a mentality of abundance. You want to give and you want to be open to receive. So if you've let your network go cold, that's okay. It's not the end of the world. You can recoup from that. But a lot of times we're embarrassed to let people know that, hey, we're looking again.
Mhm.
And so we never even reach back out to our network. Okay. Listen, the average person in their lifetime, Pete, especially young professionals coming in, are going to change on average over 7 to 10 times in their career.
That's an
Okay.
interesting number because when I was growing up, I was told 4 to 5 times. So it's
Yeah,
interesting that now it's seven to
it's,
ten.
it's
And when we
grown.
talk about career change, it's career change, not job change, right?
Yeah, but I mean, they're going to pretty frequently be exploring their network.
Mhm.
So they're going to be in your shoes if you've let your network get cold. So my first piece of advice for the people that have let their network go cold is just reach out. Just get on LinkedIn daily, reach out to 5 or 10 of your network and, check in on them. Let them know what's going on with you and reconnect. Okay.
Mhm.
Make it, I actually set up a challenge for my coaching clients. And I say, okay, what's your networking activity goal for biweekly? And so they'll set it 5 a day or 10 a week or whatever they want to set, but you have to meet that challenge every week. So you don't have that luxury of saying, I'm staying in this thought that's embarrassment. Okay.
Mhm.
So get out there. LinkedIn makes it so easy. The other quick thing to do is when you're applying for jobs, often the recruiter is there. the company is there. So take that next step. Once you've applied, if it's a role you're really interested in, go and look on LinkedIn. Who do I know within that network? Or who is my second connection that I know in my network? Okay. And then reach out to someone who knows someone at that company. Let them know you've applied. I give my clients standard job communications that they can just copy and paste and then modify based on their search. It's an excellent way to reach out and let them know, hey, I just applied. Are you willing to get on a call with me or connect me with Pete, who's working there? I'd like to learn more about the company. The more you know about the company from the people working within it, the more you can customize your resume, but also your interview prep for that company.
Yeah, that's something, again, you know, I know, because have always been a pretty good networker through my career, just because I love French, I love relationships. Those are like my, you know, top things. It's just building relationships, asking people what they need help with, how I can help them, how they can help me, and it's just a reciprocal type of thing. One thing that I notice is that resistance, right? There's resistance to, because you're mining for information. And a lot of people are like, well, just, yeah, I don't feel comfortable doing that. One of the approaches I use, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on it, is to just treat everything just like a conversation, just like a coffee.
Okay.
My friend calls it a curiosity conversation. Just like go in, asking questions and being curious about the person you're talking to, versus the agenda of, I'm going to mine you for information.
Well, for sure. But listen, you are going to have an ask on the call, but I think people make the mistake that networking means I'm asking you to recommend me. That is not what networking is today. Networking is not asking for a recommendation. Networking is just asking, like your friend said, for information that will help you determine if it's a potentially good fit for you. Okay.
Yeah, and one of the things I've noticed too, and this is something that just I developed over the years, is the idea of, can you introduce me to somebody else? That's why LinkedIn, and that idea of using LinkedIn I love, because of the second connection, the third connection. How can I grow my network through my existing network to that second tier? That
you got it.
You know, I think that's really cool about the platform, and really great about how you've explained it.
Exactly. And the other thing I would encourage you is always offer to give back as well. So
how would somebody do that? Yeah, like dive into that a bit.
Yeah. So if you're, you know, everyone has value. Even if you're laid off, you have value. You have experience that someone else can benefit from. Okay. So put yourself out there. Offer to become a mentor to the local college, to go speak to their graduating seniors on the career that you've had. All right. So put yourself out there, return the favor. All right, to a young grad who's like, well, what is this career like? What did you like most about your career, Pete? What did you like most? I routinely today still go speak at colleges for HR, for human resources, right, Pete? Because that's mine. I go to 3 or 4 colleges a year to go speak to young people exploring human resource careers. Okay. That's my way of giving back, of keeping my network strong. I cannot tell you how many of them later in life hire me to do training and development for their organization, or come to me for leadership coaching, which are 2 other arms of my business that I do. Or they'll come back to me to do career coaching later in their life. So, you know, while on the surface, it looks like I'm getting absolutely nothing from that, I'm planting the seed of building the relationship. That's why you have to come from an abundance mentality. It's not just about building your network from whom you're going to get information, but who do I have information that they would benefit from?
Yes, I love that. Mentorship is something that I've always said is lacking, especially, you know, we look at professional mentorship, it's always for technical. from my experience in engineering and in that corporate environment, but it's very rarely this kind of mentorship. Like, how can I introduce someone younger to somebody, like start creating bridges for people across the board? If you can help connect people, it's easier when you're actually in need of something because you've already planted the seeds, as you said, to be able to harvest some success. Now let's pivot to the person who's in, they're kind of butts in a seat. They're maybe staying a little too long. What kind of things would you say to that person who right now maybe has kind of, they keep in touch with people, but they're looking for opportunities? What would you say to those people?
Yeah, again, let your network know. First of all, get clear on what you want to do next. What are some of the targeted roles you would be interested in, right?
Mhm.
So I just spoke, for example, today on my free career strategy call, wonderful gentleman who is interested in a managerial role and doesn't see that happening, right? He's had a long tech independent, as an individual contributor, and he wants the next managerial role. I said, okay, well, who in your network is working in a company that you're interested in, that you can connect with to see their path? Now, he couldn't think of anybody, but I know several people that have already made that transition from the independent contributor, prime principal engineer role into management. So I've connected him today with somebody who's done that path
Yeah.
just from sitting on a free career call. So sometimes it's just putting a posting on and saying, hey, I'd like to talk to someone who's made this transition. If you know of anyone, can you connect me to them?
Yeah.
It's really that simple. It's
I
like,
love
put it
that. And
out there.
it is, put it out there and just tell the people beside you, this is what you're looking for. And
Yeah,
and then just see where it
yeah,
goes. So it doesn't
yeah.
really matter if you're freshly laid off or if you're just looking for a new opportunity. The key is to vocalize it and see how people can help to connect you to the next person.
You got it. And so once you feel comfortable doing the asking, then people will come. They'll say, oh, I know this person who's done that transition. Maybe it's you, Pete. Maybe it's me. Maybe it's someone, right, who is in LinkedIn regularly checking.
Yeah, I would
Um,
actually say that, take this opportunity to say, anyone who's listening to this, when you're listening to people on podcasts, on, giving different things, go connect with them, go and reach out,
Absolutely.
make them part of your network. Like, don't be afraid to add someone you have no idea, you don't know, or anything else. Add them to your network.
Absolutely. And, like in this case, anybody who's listening, sign up for a free career coaching call. If you need a connection, I probably have it. I have over, 6,900 followers. I know many people personally after 25 years of doing this. So do you, Pete, right? So a lot of times I highly encourage you, if you're thinking of really kind of changing roles and you're uncomfortable, let's talk to somebody who's done it. Find out, what did they like best? What do they like least? What are some advice they have for someone trying to get into that field?
Hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
What other things would you that you kind of coach on, or you kind of speak on regularly, that, again, we haven't really kind of talked about so far in our conversation?
Well, for sure, the other thing is, if you know the recruiter or someone working in the company. So I always have my clients do that extra step, right, Pete?
Mhm.
Is once you apply, go then and find out where your connection in the company is. Okay. And then reach out to somebody. Chances are somebody from your school may have worked there.
Yeah.
Reach out to them. Hey, we both went. I went to Penn State University, okay, for my undergrad. My son went for his master's. I go up every year to speak to the HR graduates, okay? So there's a lot of ways people can stay connected that they're not even realizing. So take that extra step after you apply to try to, if it's really a role you're highly interested, to see, reach out to the recruiter directly, reach out to someone that is a second connection. Okay. Hey, someone who's gone to your university. That has really reached to let people know they're highly interested. And don't give up. If you reach out to somebody one time and they don't respond, give them the benefit of the doubt. We're all busy. They may have seen that message on LinkedIn and wanted to help you, but we're super busy on a project. So follow up in a couple weeks. Send another, hey, don't want to be a pest, but just wanted to reach out. I know how life can get busy. I'd still love to talk to you about your perception of the company. Can we set up a virtual chat?
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. And I even, it happens to me, right? I've been doing this for 25 plus years. Still happens to me. It's, you don't want to hassle somebody. And I think that's most of us. We don't want to come off as being imposing. We don't want to do this, but yeah, you have to keep yourself relevant in somebody's mind. And whether it's a friendship, whether it's, job hunting, whether it's just a career network, like networking with peers, if they don't first respond, give them a touch back in a week or so. It's not a big deal. I always say that to people with me. I'll always miss texts, like all the time. People will text me or message me, and it's like I'll go back and notice that I penned a response, but I didn't even hit send.
Yeah.
So, and a lot of times I'll hit the send. I'll be like, sorry, I saw this 2 weeks ago. I had it ready to go. I just forgot to hit send. So that could be the person you're reaching out to who just hasn't had the opportunity to get back to you. So I think it's a great point to follow up. Don't give up, because really if you take that approach that this is your career is an evolution of you, whether in all the different roles and all the different companies, but it's the relationships we make along the way. That's
It
the most
absolutely is. Yeah. We have a saying in my family, it came from my dad, who was a World War II veteran and very active in sales in his career. And he said, Cindy, business runs on relationships, period. Period. Don't say business runs on relationships when, but, whatever. And so I invite you to network, to build your relationships, to give back, come from an abundance mentality, and persevere. Don't be afraid to keep asking, for that help. It's there. People like helping.
Yeah.
They want to feel like they've connected you and helped.
Yeah.
And they all know that one day that might be them.
Well, and that's where I'd add to the tail end of this, because this is where I would say the biggest mistake happens. You get into a situation, you start to use your network, you get what you want, and then you disappear. You have to stay present. And I love what you said about going and giving back, even when it's not, nothing that you want right now. It's just planting seeds. It's cultivating these relationships, cultivating it into the future, and not letting up. Like that first time that you've got that cold network should be the wake up moment that, oh, well, maybe I shouldn't do this going forward.
Yeah, but listen, we all get busy. So there will be times where you will get busy and let your network go. But try not to be not building your network for like years at a time. If you have a few busy months, great, but get back on, make it part of your regular agenda.
Yeah, no, I agree with you 100% there. People will drop off the map for 3-4 months. There's seasons.
Yeah.
But, just like I was mentioning before we started the show, I got a text from an old schoolmate and he was in town, and I told him, I really appreciated you sending that text to me. Like I would, would move kind of my schedule around so I can go and reconnect with this old school buddy of mine. And I think that's just part of the beauty of networking. It's not just about job hunting. It's not just about up-leveling your career. It's about those relationships that you have throughout life.
Yeah, absolutely.
Excellent. Well, tell everybody what you're working on, how they can reach you. I'll put all the stuff in the show notes as well. But any last kind of thoughts, parting words as well?
Yeah, listen, I know it seems like it's really tough right now. A lot of people have been, especially in the tech field, have been impacted by layoffs in 2023. I want you to know that there's lots of opportunities still out there, especially if you're willing to expand your scope, look a little bit outside. So, get in touch with me. I'm Cindy Arcuri. You'll have my LinkedIn profile. I do free career strategy calls of 30 minutes, a little more time. And, get on, don't be afraid to ask for some help. The other thing I would encourage people is when you are in a role where you're struggling, let's say you're struggling, like you don't feel like you have everything that the job is asking for, do not let that hesitate to apply. Okay. In my long HR career of tens of thousands of roles that I've filled, right, Pete? There's no such thing as the perfect ideal candidate. So I think a lot of times we stop ourselves for whatever reason. We don't have this one thing. I want you to think about the potential that lives within you. And I want you to think about how quickly you learn new things and how excited you are when you learn new things. Okay. So don't let that stop you, even though that might be a little tough. Expand your search, think outside the box, ask for some career coaching help. For me, listen to podcasts like yours, sign up, okay, for a free career strategy call. Again, my passion is having you enjoy work and get financially free. And both are possible, even in these tougher markets. I just had a candidate in the tech. He's moved twice in 18 months. He's loving his new role.
Yeah, that is awesome. I think that's a great message to share too. There are always opportunities. When one sector is down, another sector is up.
Yeah.
The willingness to get uncomfortable, grow outside your comfort zone, and stretch for a role, go for it, right? And that a little scary at first, but it's amazing what will happen when you do that. So thank you so much for your parting words. Thank you so much for taking the time to be on the show today and sharing all of this amazing wisdom. And I'm looking forward to releasing this and having everybody, take these notes away and look you up.
Thanks so much, Pete.
All right. Take care.
Cheers.
And I'll see all you next week on Tools for the Modern Man.